whatever happens in Afghanistan, if there is a significant deterioration in security, that could well happen. We've discussed this before. I don't think it's going to be something that happens from a Friday to a Monday. So I wouldn't necessarily equate the departure of our forces in July, August, or by early September with some kind of immediate deterioration in the situation.
Hi again, everyone. It's 5 o'clock in the East. That was then. We're now learning that after public testimony like that, things changed. The administration received warnings by U.S. intelligence, as they did, about the weakness of the Afghan government. That's according to brand new reporting in the New York Times, breaking this afternoon. It says this, quote, classified assessments by American spy agencies over the summer painted an increasingly grim picture of the prospect of a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan and warned of the rapid collapse of the Afghan military. Yet the Times adds that according to the White House, the intel was vague. Quote, one senior administration official who spoke anonymously to discuss the classified intel reports said that even by July, as the situation grew more volatile, intelligence agencies never offered a clear prediction of an imminent Taliban takeover. The official said their assessments were also not given a high confidence judgment, the agency's highest level of certainty. That reporting is adding to a picture of a White House caught off guard with how quickly the situation in Afghanistan deteriorated. Washington Post reports on the scramble over the past few days and writes this, quote, one close Biden foreign policy ally who's in regular contact with the White House and the State Department said the president's team would never have let him leave for Camp David had they known just how quickly Afghanistan would implode amid the president's decision to withdraw all U.S. troops by September 11th. But the White House has made clear it stands by its decision to pull troops out, no matter the flood of criticism coming its way, even if the criticism isn't just coming from the usual suspects on the other side of the aisle. Take the statement from Democrat and Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Jack Reed, who argued that several factors over the last 20 years of war in Afghanistan have shaped this outcome and must be considered, but that they were compounded by failures of intelligence, diplomacy, and a lack of imagination as we transitioned military forces from the country. And this powerful statement from another Democrat, Congressman and Iraq veteran Seth Moulton, who expressed the somber and harsh reality of the situation as the Taliban seized control of Kabul. Quote, to our Afghanistan veterans and their families, I am too honest to stand here today and try to convince you that your sacrifice was worth it. Some will find solace in the millions of Afghans, especially women and girls, to whom we gave 2 decades of a taste of freedom, more hope, liberty, and opportunity than they would have ever had without the tireless work and irreparable sacrifices of our troops. We accomplished our initial mission. Osama bin Laden is dead, and the threat of terrorist attacks against Americans originating from Afghanistan is diminished. We also provided the security needed to accomplish a peace process that unfortunately was never realized. Others will forever ask that haunting question I heard too often from my own Marines in Iraq. Why are we here? The best answer I could ever come up with was simply, so nobody has to be here in our place. And while that was never an adequate answer, it is true. And I remain proud to be from a nation whose brave young men and women stand on the ramparts of freedom around the globe as they do at Kabul airport tonight. The ongoing fallout for President Biden and his administration over his handling of our withdrawal from Afghanistan is where we start this hour with some of our favorite reporters and friends. John Heilemann is here. Heilemann is the host and executive producer of Showtime's The Circus and host of the Hell and High Water podcast from The Recount. He's also an NBC News and MSNBC national affairs analyst. Also joining us, Jackie Alemany, author of the Washington Post Power Up newsletter. And the aforementioned and quoted Congressman Seth Moulton is here of Massachusetts. He's a former Marine Corps officer in Iraq, a member of the House Armed Services Committee. I have read your statement to myself and out loud a couple times. I can barely get through it. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, Nicole, but I think I'm doing okay because at least I feel like I can still do something. And I hear from fellow veterans all day long who are reaching out on behalf of their translators and friends who are still in Afghanistan today, just saying, what can we do? What can we do to get them out, to save them, their young kids, their wives, their husbands? how can I get them here to safety? I can't do very much, but at least I'm in a position to try. And so I think this has been easier on me than it is on many veterans today.
What is the answer to the question? How do we get them out?
Well, the first thing that we had to do, and I made this very clear in my statement, is that we have to secure Kabul International Airport. And the administration deserves some credit. They sent in thousands of U.S. troops, a lot of U.S. Marines, and the Marines have secured the airport. The problem now, of course, is that even as they ramp up the flights coming out of the country, we can't get people to the airport. I was on the phone late the night before last with an amazing American hero, an Afghan American who served in our armed services himself. His wife was cowering in a basement in Afghanistan as we spoke. He was contemplating trying to somehow go back there himself to get her out. I was trying to figure out what can we possibly do to save her life before the Taliban track her down, learn of her connections, and rape or torture her or worse. So that's the challenge that we have right now, is how do we get these amazing Afghan American heroes from all over the country to Kabul airport when the Taliban control everything. And by the way, it's also, reports are now saying 5,000 to 10,000 Americans, passport holding Americans, not just our Afghan allies, but American citizens who are trying to reach that airport as well to get to safety.
Can you play this thread forward? I mean, if they're not at the airport in Kabul, do you imagine military operations around the country to try to go get them?
Well, it's certainly an option that we have to consider. It's a terrible option, considering that a mere week ago, we controlled much more of the country, or at least the allied Afghan government did. We really missed the boat here. That's why I've been asking the administration, pleading with the administration for months to start this evacuation. Don't wait until the last minute. Just do the math. You can't do this in the last week. But they didn't heed that advice. And now we're in this terrible position where we've got to figure out how to get these people to safety. But I'll tell you what, it is within the power of the United States military to do this. So through diplomacy, through military action, through whatever it takes, I want to hear a commitment from the administration that we're going to get this done, that we're not going to leave anyone behind.
That was not their message today. Jake Sullivan notably did not confirm that if people weren't out by the deadline, we would go back and get them. Have you had any private conversations in which you've been assured that we'll get everybody out?
No, I have not.